Everybody's happy down here. You can see.
I had never been so fulfilled in my life.
I would do anything for Jim Jones.
How do you account for such an avid following?
I'm dedicated to my people.
We need to develop our own society.
There's not a day that goes by that you don't think of some parts of it.
My dad became cruel. We became numb to it.
Blasphemy to talk about going back.
There's no way out.
If we can't live in peace, then let's die in peace.
He didn't preach, he hijacked a city. This is the tale of a charismatic man who ignited a movement with a vision for racial equality and social justice. True to his calling, his initial agenda captivated thousands, transforming the People's Temple from a small church into a historic movement.
I want you to become what I am. I want you to enjoy the fearlessness that I have, the courage that I have, the compassion that I have, the love that I have, the all-encompassing mercy that I am. I want you to be what I am and something greater.
But behind the gleaming exterior lay a darker reality. Jim Jones turned Jonestown into a slave camp rather than a religious center. There were reports of beatings, forced labor, imprisonments, the use of drugs to control behavior, mysterious deaths, and even rehearsals for a mass suit. On November 28, 1978, over 900 members of the People's Temple Agricultural Project were found on the jungle floor, having succumbed to self-induced cyanide poisoning, or brute force. In that moment, the world learned of the People's Temple cult and its leader. How did a movement founded on religious ideals turn so malevolent? Join us at Days Gone By as we uncover every detail behind this unfathomable turn of events. Let's get started. When the name Jim Jones is mentioned, it sends chills down the spine. But before he became infamous as the leader of the People's Temple and the architect of the Jonestown tragedy, he was just a boy from Crete, Indiana, struggling with poverty, a broken home, and a passion for religion. Born on May 13, 1931, during the harsh years of the Great Depression, Jones's childhood was anything but ordinary. His father, James Thurman Jones, a disabled World War I veteran, battled severe breathing issues from chemical exposure during the war. With a meager military pension and his father's alcoholism compounding the struggles, the family faced daily hardships. His mother, Lynetta Putnam, juggled multiple jobs to keep the family afloat. With his father frequently hospitalized and his mother often absent, young Jones was left to fend for himself. In 1934, the family lost their home and ended up in a rundown shack in Lynn, Indiana, without plumbing or electricity. Neighbors, especially the women of Lynn, took turns caring for him, but this unstable family life left its mark. From an early age, Jones was drawn to religion. He explored every church he could find: Nazarene, Methodist, Pentecostal, Quaker, soaking in their teachings. Myrtle Kennedy, the wife of a local pastor, sparked his curiosity by giving him a Bible and teaching him the Nazarene Holiness Code. Yet his fascination extended beyond mere curiosity. He held mock funerals for roadkill, preaching over the tiny corpses and delving into dark themes of death and the supernatural, a foreboding of the unsettling path ahead. At school, Jones was intelligent and loved debating. However, his strict moral code and fervent religiosity set him apart. He wasn't into sports, and he despised losing, but he found purpose in coaching younger kids. His peers regarded him as strange, obsessed with religion and death, and marked by a rigid demeanor. In 1949, Jones married Marceline May Baldwin. Together, they adopted 3 children of different ethnicities, whom he affectionately called his Rainbow Family. His early career as a student pastor at Somerset Methodist Church in Indianapolis showed promise. He was a passionate preacher, renowned for his healing services and advocacy for racial integration. a controversy with his congregation. When the church resisted his integration efforts, Jones ventured out on his own. In 1955, he founded the Wings of Deliverance, soon renaming it the People's Temple. He knew how to draw a crowd, even buying radio time to broadcast his sermons. By the mid-1960s, Jones relocated his followers to Northern California, settling in the secluded areas of Ukiah and Redwood Valley. Over 100 members uprooted their lives to follow him. By the 1970s, his influence had expanded into San Francisco, where his fiery sermons, alleged miraculous healings, and promises of a utopian society attracted hundreds more. With his dark glasses, slick suits, and mane of black hair, Jones was an imposing figure at the pulpit. People bought into his vision of a better life, handing over their money and possessions in the belief that it was for the greater good. Unfortunately, much of it ended up in his own pockets. While Jones preached against sex and romantic relationships, he did not adhere to his own standards. He engaged in multiple affairs, including a relationship with church administrator Carolyn Layton, with whom he had a son, and claimed fatherhood of Grace Stone's son, John Victor. He manipulated his followers, fracturing familial bonds while positioning himself as the father of all. At this point, you may be wondering when the storm began to hit Jim Jones and the People's Temple. Some might call it a long-played game. Let's explore what happened next. Jim Jones began implementing strategies within the People's Temple to establish a self-sustaining community under his absolute control. The People's Temple was not just a church, it was a movement on wheels. He led massive bus caravans across the U.S., blending recruitment with fundraising through healing services and community events. These trips were meticulously planned, not casual road trips. Temple members often posed as locals, creating the illusion of widespread influence. Simultaneously, the temple inundated mailboxes with thousands of donation requests and sales of blessed photos and trinkets. This wasn't merely about communication, it was a cash machine. Beyond these efforts, the temple crafted a positive public image. It operated residential care homes, foster homes, and even a ranch for individuals with developmental disabilities. These initiatives, while charitable, were strategic. By providing tangible help, the temple garnered support from influential California politicians. Jones forged ties with figures like George Moscone and Willie Brown, boosting his credibility while dampening criticism. Financially, Jones exercised complete control over his followers. Members were expected to relinquish their assets and income, rendering them financially dependent. The more control he had, the harder it became for anyone to leave. While preaching equality and communal living, Jones accumulated millions in secret offshore accounts, serving as a safety net that allowed him to maintain his stranglehold even in times of trouble. Control within the temple extended well beyond finances. Members who dared step out of line faced harsh punishments, from public humiliation and reduced food rations to physical violence. These measures quashed dissent, creating an environment where rebellion was nearly impossible. In Jonestown, this control was exasperated. Members were isolated from the outside world, their personal belongings seized, and communication tightly monitored. Armed guards patrolled the compound's perimeter, enforcing a reality where Jones' word was law. Jim Jones didn't merely control his followers physically, he manipulated them psychologically. He instilled fear, humiliation, and mind games, breaking down resistance. Members were encouraged to spy on one another, fostering an atmosphere of distrust. Jones controlled all incoming information, replacing it with cult propaganda. Tactics like sleep deprivation and emotional manipulation left people too exhausted to question his authority. As suspicion grew, Jim Jones purchased land in Guyana, naming it Jonestown, a new home for him and his followers. Scared for his life, he began conducting self-harm drills at odd hours, creating an atmosphere of unnerving anticipation. During these drills, members were forced to drink what they believed was poison, only to be told minutes later that it was merely a test of loyalty. While public attention was focused on Guyana, Jones continued to brew trouble. In 1975, he hinted at a grim future during a sermon at his People's Temple Church in San Francisco, a passionate proclamation of his socialist ideals, even claiming he was willing to die to realize them, taking 1,000 with him. In the fall of 1978, Congressman Leo Ryan from California visited Guyana to investigate the fate of over 900 Jonestown members, many of whom were his constituents from San Francisco. Ryan met with Jones and interviewed several followers. Jones was unapologetic when families and individuals sought to leave. As Ryan's plane prepared for departure, a dump truck from Jonestown arrived with armed men. The attack was sudden. One plane was openly fired upon, while a cultist, Larry Layton, discharged his gun on another. In the ensuing chaos, Ryan and several others were killed, leaving many wounded. Back at the compound, Jones was hatching an unthinkable plan. In what became known as the Revolutionary Campaign, a deadly mix of cyanide and Valium was blended into a grape-flavored drink and distributed to the members. He gathered his followers and ordered them to swallow this lethal mixed drink, justifying it as a defensive measure against the attack on the planes. Despite a few objections, over 900 cultists, including more than 200 children, lie lifeless on the ground. Jones, too, was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head. On November 18, 1978, his prophecy became a tragic reality. The horrific events at Jonestown led to the collapse of the People's Temple, leaving an indelible mark on American culture. The phrase, "drink the Kool-Aid," now symbolic of blind obedience, originates from this tragic episode. Before the September 11, 2001 attacks, the Jonestown massacre was the largest loss of American civilian life in a single event outside of natural disasters. Its scale and shocking circumstances continue to serve as a haunting reminder of the dangers inherent in cults and unchecked power. Did you find this story haunting? What part struck a nerve? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And stay tuned with the Days Gone By family by liking and subscribing for more intriguing stories. See you next time.